Sunlight filtered through my half-open blinds, streaking across the hardwood floor in golden slant. The city hummed outside my window, but inside, silence pressed against my walls. I stretched, muscles stiff from another restless night, and reached blindly for my phone. The screen glowed with a dozen notifications. Emails, social media alerts, messages I had no interest in reading. But one stood out, its subject line cutting through my drowsy haze like a scalpel. "You're invited. Ethan and Vanessa's wedding." I sat up too fast, head spinning. My thumb hovered over the screen, breath caught in my throat. A cruel joke? A mistake? My eyes darted to the sender's name. No mistake. Ethan Carter. My best friend. Or, at least, he had been. I clicked the email open, scanning the words despite the roaring in my ears. "We'd love to have you there to celebrate our special day. It wouldn't be the same without you." My hands trembled. I blinked, reading the lines over and over, but they remained the same. Vanessa, my Vanessa, was marrying Ethan. Memories slammed into me like a freight train. Vanessa and I had been inseparable once, a wildfire of passion and promises. Late-night drives with the windows down, her laughter ringing out over the music. Secret rendezvous behind locked doors. The way her fingers curled around mine when she whispered forever. But forever had unraveled. Lies. Fights. The slow, agonizing realization that love wasn't enough. The divorce papers had arrived in a crisp envelope, finalizing the end of us. I had accepted it. Or so I thought. Ethan had been my rock through the worst of it. My brother in every way but blood. He had sat beside me as I drank away my grief, listened to my bitter rants, assured me I'd find someone else. I had trusted him. And now, here he was, stealing the woman who had once sworn to be mine. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. The betrayal should have knocked the wind out of me, left me reeling. But all I felt was a slow, simmering burn in my chest. I should have ignored the invitation, deleted the email, moved on like I was supposed to. Instead, I did the exact opposite. I clicked RSVP. Yes, I will attend. Let them think I had forgiven them. Let them believe I came to offer my blessing. I wanted to see it. I needed to see it. The moment Vanessa stood at that altar, looking into another man's eyes the way she once looked into mine. "You said." The grand ballroom gleamed under the soft glow of 1,000 golden lights. Chandeliers dangled like crystal constellations, casting delicate reflections against marble floors. White lilies adorned every table, their scent thick in the air. Laughter and the clinking of glasses created a symphony of celebration, but I stood in the corner, unseen. A ghost among the living. Vanessa moved through the crowd, a vision in pale blue. Her dress hugged her curves in a way that made my chest tighten, memories clawing their way to the surface. I remembered how her skin felt beneath my fingertips, the way she melted into my touch. Now, she belonged to someone else, my best friend. Ethan was at her side, smiling, exuding the effortless charm he always had. He reached for her waist, guiding her closer, and she leaned in, whispering something that made him laugh. My stomach clenched. That should have been me. I turned toward the bar, desperate for something strong enough to drown the ache. A bartender in a crisp white shirt handed me a glass of whiskey. The burn of it was sharp, but it did nothing to dull the pain. "I didn't think you'd actually show," a voice murmured beside me. I turned to see Ethan, his grin wide but uncertain. He had always been the confident one, charming, easygoing. But now, a flicker of unease danced in his hazel eyes. "You invited me," I said coolly, swirling the amber liquid in my glass. "I did," he admitted, scratching the back of his neck. "I mean, you're still family, man." Family. The word twisted like a knife. Vanessa appeared at Ethan's side, eyes locking onto mine. For a moment, the air thickened, charged with something unsaid. Her lips parted, but whatever words she had died before they could form. Instead, she forced a smile. "It's good to see you." Was it? Did she mean it, or was this just another polite formality, A well-rehearsed performance for the sake of appearances? You look happy, I said, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. Her eyes flickered, just for a second. Then she nodded. I am. Ethan beamed, oblivious to the undercurrent between us. We've got a great life ahead of us. I took another sip, masking my expression. Yeah. Looks like it. The evening dragged on, suffocating in its perfection. Toasts were made, speeches given. I watched as Ethan's hand lingered at the small of Vanessa's back, as she tilted her head when he spoke, laughing at his jokes. Every touch, every glance felt like a blade slicing through me. I should have left, walked away before I drowned in the weight of it. Instead, I found myself seated at a dimly lit table, staring into my whiskey. You're torturing yourself. I glanced up. Claire, Vanessa's maid of honor, slid into the chair across from me. Dark hair framed her sharp features, and her emerald dress hugged her frame with dangerous elegance. I smirked. And you're very observant. She sipped her wine, studying me. You still love her. I exhaled sharply, staring at the golden liquid in my glass. What does it matter? Claire leaned in slightly, voice dropping to a whisper. Because you're about to watch the woman you love marry your best friend. And I don't think you're as okay with that as you pretend to be. I laughed dryly. What do you suggest? Stand up in the middle of the ceremony and declare my undying love? Her lips curled into a knowing smirk. Wouldn't that be something? I scoffed, shaking my head. Not my style. She tilted her head, eyes gleaming. Then what is your style? I didn't answer. Because the truth was, I didn't know. Not anymore. The rehearsal dinner ended, but the weight in my chest remained. Guests trickled out of the ballroom, laughter echoing down the grand hallway of the hotel. I should have left, but my feet refused to move. Instead, I found myself wandering toward the courtyard, where the night air was cool against my heated skin. I needed space. I needed air. I needed something. Footsteps approached, soft against the stone path. I didn't have to turn to know who it was. I thought you left, Vanessa's voice murmured behind me. Slowly I turned. There she stood, bathed in moonlight, her dress swaying in the breeze. She looked at me the way she used to, like she wanted to say something but didn't know how. I should have, I admitted. She crossed her arms, hesitating. Why did you come? I exhaled, running a hand through my hair. You tell me. Why did you invite me? She bit her lip, looking away. Ethan wanted you here. I studied her, my voice quieter now. And you? A pause. A long, aching pause. Then, finally, she shook her head. Something inside me clenched. I stepped closer, barely a breath between us. The tension was suffocating, an invisible force pulling us together even as reality demanded we stay apart. Do you love him? I asked. Vanessa swallowed hard. I want to. Not I do. Not yes. I reached for her wrist, my touch light but electric. She didn't pull away. Her skin was warm, her pulse unsteady beneath my fingertips. Tell me this is what you want, I said, voice low. Look me in the eyes and tell me you don't feel anything right now. Her lips parted, breath shallow. She didn't move, didn't speak. But the answer was there, in the way her body leaned ever so slightly toward mine. Then, the sound of a door creaking shattered the moment. Vanessa jerked back just as Claire stepped onto the courtyard patio, her emerald dress catching the dim light. She looked between us, amusement flickering in her eyes. Vanessa, she said smoothly, Ethan's looking for you. Vanessa nodded quickly, her face unreadable now. Without another glance in my direction, she turned and disappeared inside. Claire watched her go before shifting her gaze to me. Dangerous game you're playing, she mused. I let out a breath, running a hand over my face. I'm not playing. Claire smirked, tilting her head. Then you're losing. She stepped closer, fingertips grazing the edge of my sleeve. You don't have to sit here stewing in your misery, you know. I met her gaze, wary. What exactly are you suggesting? Her smile deepened, slow and deliberate. Just that there are better ways to spend your last night before the wedding of the woman you still love. I knew what she meant. The invitation was clear, wrapped in honeyed temptation. For a moment I considered it. Maybe she was right. Maybe I needed a distraction, an escape from the tangled mess of my emotions. But when I closed my eyes, all I saw was Vanessa. And that was the problem. I wasn't ready to let her go. Not yet. The night stretched endlessly, thick with tension and unspoken words. After the courtyard encounter, I returned to my hotel room, but sleep refused to claim me. Every time I closed my eyes, Vanessa's face haunted me, her hesitation, the way her breath hitched when I touched her wrist, the truth buried in her silence. I groaned, running a hand over my face, frustration simmering beneath my skin. This was insanity. She was marrying Ethan. Tomorrow. And yet, something inside me refused to let go. A knock at the door jolted me from my thoughts. I hesitated before crossing the room, pulse pounding. When I swung the door open, my breath caught. Vanessa. She stood there, barefoot, wrapped in a silk robe that barely concealed the slip beneath it. Her hair was loose, tumbling over her shoulders, and her eyes, God, those eyes, held something dangerous. Something she was trying to suppress. Vanessa! I shouldn't be here. Her voice was a whisper, her fingers clutching the fabric at her waist. I exhaled sharply. Then why are you? She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped inside, closing the door behind her. The air in the room shifted instantly, charged and suffocating. I ran a hand through my hair, taking a slow step back. This is a mistake. Vanessa let out a shaky breath. I know. But she didn't leave. I turned away, hands bracing against the edge of the dresser. Tomorrow, you're walking down that aisle. Silence. Then, barely audible, I don't know if I can. The confession hit me like a freight train. I turned to face her, disbelief warring with something deeper, darker. What are you saying? I demanded. She shook her head, wrapping her arms around herself. I thought I could move on. I thought Ethan was the right choice. Safe. Steady. But then I saw you tonight, and everything, her voice broke, her shoulders trembling. Everything came back. I swallowed hard, my body screaming at me to close the space between us. But I didn't. You left me, I reminded her, voice rough. You made that choice. Her eyes glistened, guilt flickering in them. I know. And I hate myself for it. Silence stretched between us, heavy and unbreakable. Then she moved. Slowly, hesitantly, until she was standing inches away. Her fingers brushed against my chest, tentative, searching. My restraint snapped. I grabbed her waist, pulling her flush against me, mouth crashing onto hers in a desperate, bruising kiss. She gasped against my lips, fingers tangling in my hair, pressing herself closer as if trying to drown in me. I lifted her effortlessly, her legs wrapping around my waist as I carried her toward the bed, years of pent-up desire unraveling in that single moment. But just as my hands slid beneath the silk, just as our breaths turned ragged and need consumed us, her phone buzzed. Reality slammed into us like ice water. Vanessa stiffened. I pulled away, chest heaving, watching as she reached for the device with trembling fingers. Ethan. His name glowed on the screen. Her face paled. My jaw clenched. You should answer that. She met my gaze, something shattered in her expression. Then, slowly she pressed decline. My breath caught. I don't want to, she whispered. And just like that, I knew. This wasn't over. Not yet. Morning light filtered through the sheer hotel curtains, casting a golden glow over Vanessa's bare shoulder. She lay beside me, tangled in the sheets, her breathing soft and even. My fingers hovered above her skin, the reality of last night settling into my bones. We had crossed a line. And now there was no turning back. The wedding was in a matter of hours. Somewhere in this hotel, Ethan was getting ready, excited, unsuspecting. I should have felt guilt, should have regretted every moment, but all I felt was the undeniable truth. Vanessa was never his to begin with. She stirred, eyelashes fluttering before her gaze met mine. For a second there was peace. No wedding, no betrayal, just us. Then reality crashed in. Vanessa inhaled sharply, sitting up as the sheets pooled around her waist. Her eyes darted to the clock. God, she whispered. What have we done? I sat up beside her, jaw clenched. You know what we did. Her fingers threaded through her hair, her breathing uneven. She swallowed hard, shaking her head. I have to go. I caught her wrist before she could leave the bed. Go where, Vanessa? Down the aisle? Pretend last night never happened. She wrenched free, stepping out of bed, wrapping the sheet around herself. I don't know. Anger simmered beneath my skin. You don't know. I swung my legs over the edge, standing. You said you couldn't do this. That you weren't sure about Ethan. But now, what? You're just going to walk out of here and pretend none of this was real. She turned, eyes blazing. It was real. But what do you want me to do, huh? Walk downstairs and tell Ethan I slept with his best friend hours before our wedding. My hands curled into fists. Maybe you should. Her breath hitched. I took a step closer, lowering my voice. Tell me, Vanessa, when you stand in front of him today, when he takes your hands and says his vows, will you be thinking about him? Silence. Her lips parted, but no words came out. I nodded, letting out a bitter laugh. That's what I thought. A knock at the door shattered the moment. Vanessa's entire body tensed. Her eyes met mine, wide with panic. We both knew who it was. Ethan. For a second, neither of us moved. Then, in a frantic rush, Vanessa grabbed her dress from the floor, scrambling into it as I stood motionless, staring at the door. Vanessa. Ethan's voice was muffled through the wood. Are you in there? She turned to me, her eyes pleading. Please. Don't say anything. I should have been furious. I should have thrown the door open, let the truth explode into the world. Instead, I exhaled sharply and stepped back. Vanessa gave me one last, pained look before she slipped into the bathroom, closing the door just as Ethan knocked again, harder this time. I moved toward the door, my heart pounding. When I opened it, Ethan stood there, dressed in his suit, looking every bit the groom-to-be. His face split into a grin. Damn man, you look like hell. I forced a smirk. Rough night. Ethan chuckled, clapping me on the shoulder. Figured. That's why I came. Wanted to check on you. I swallowed the bitterness rising in my throat. Check on me? If only he knew. Ethan glanced past me into the room. Hey, you haven't seen Vanessa, have you? She left her phone in my suite, and I can't find her anywhere. I hesitated for half a second. No. The lie came too easily. Ethan exhaled, running a hand through his hair. Damn. She's probably freaking out. Wedding jitters and all. He laughed, oblivious. Women, huh? I forced a laugh, but inside, I was unraveling. Ethan clapped my shoulder again. Anyway, get dressed. You're my best man. Wouldn't want you missing the biggest day of my life. His biggest day. The words twisted in my gut. Ethan turned to leave, but I called after him before I could stop myself. Ethan. He paused, glancing back. Yeah. For a moment I considered telling him. Telling him everything. But then, I saw Vanessa's reflection in the bathroom mirror, her face pale, eyes filled with silent pleas. I clenched my jaw and forced a smile. Nothing, I said. See you at the altar. Ethan grinned and disappeared down the hall. As soon as the door clicked shut, Vanessa stepped out, looking like she might shatter into a million pieces. I turned to her, voice tight. You're really going through with this? Tears welled in her eyes, but she nodded. I have to. Something inside me snapped. I strode toward her, gripping her chin between my fingers, forcing her to look at me. No, Vanessa. You choose to. She swallowed hard, shaking beneath my touch. I released her, stepping back. Go then. My voice was hollow. Go marry him. She didn't move for a long moment. Then, slowly, she turned and walked away. And this time, I let her go. The chapel was filled with soft music, and the murmur of hushed conversations. Guests sat in neat rows, anticipation buzzing in the air. Ethan stood at the altar, looking confident, oblivious to the war raging inside me. I stood beside him, my position as best man now feeling like a cruel joke. Then, the music changed. The doors opened and there she was. Vanessa. She looked breathtaking, too breathtaking. The way the light caught the delicate lace of her dress, the way her hair cascaded over her shoulders like liquid gold. But it was her eyes that stopped me cold. They weren't glowing with happiness. They were searching for something. Searching for me. My fists clenched at my sides as she walked down the aisle, her steps slow, deliberate. Every memory of last night burned through me. Her touch, her whispers, the way she had trembled beneath me, her voice breaking when she told me she wasn't sure. And now, here she was, pretending. The ceremony began, the officiant speaking words I barely heard. My mind raced, my pulse pounding against my skull. Vanessa stood before Ethan, her fingers clasped in his, but I saw it, the tension in her shoulders, the slight tremble in her grip. She was terrified. Then the words came. If anyone has reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace. The chapel fell into a thick silence. The moment stretched, the air growing heavier. I could feel Vanessa's heartbeat from where I stood. She wasn't breathing. Neither was I. I opened my mouth. But before I could speak, I can't do this. Vanessa's voice was barely a whisper, but in the silence of the chapel, it might as well have been a gunshot. A ripple of gasps spread through the room. Ethan stiffened, gripping her hands tighter. What? Tears brimmed in Vanessa's eyes as she shook her head. I'm so sorry. Murmurs erupted among the guests. The officiant looked utterly lost. Ethan's hands fell away from hers. Vanessa, don't do this. We're supposed to. She took a shaky breath. I love you, Ethan. But not in the way I should. Not in the way you deserve. His face darkened. Is this about him? His voice was sharp, accusing, as he turned to me. Did something happen? Vanessa's silence was answer enough. Ethan turned on me, eyes flashing with betrayal. You son of a... Before he could finish, I stepped forward, my voice steady. Ethan, stop. He let out a harsh laugh, shaking his head. Unbelievable. His gaze flicked between us, realization sinking in. How long? Vanessa wiped at her tears. It's not like that. Like hell it isn't, he exploded. Guests whispered furiously. Some had their phones out, recording the chaos. Vanessa turned to Ethan, eyes pleading. I didn't plan for this to happen. I wanted to marry you. I thought I could be happy. But when I saw him again, I realized I never stopped loving him. Ethan staggered back as if she had struck him. His mouth opened, then closed, pain flashing across his face before fury took its place. I should have felt guilty. I should have regretted everything. But all I felt was relief. Because she had chosen me. Ethan scoffed, running a hand through his hair before turning on his heel and storming down the aisle. The doors slammed behind him. The room was dead silent. Then Vanessa turned to me. Her eyes, once clouded with doubt, were now clear. I stepped forward, taking her hands in mine. The same hands that had trembled in Ethan's grasp were now steady in mine. Are you sure? I asked. She nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. I exhaled, a slow smile forming. Then, I pulled her into my arms, right there at the altar, in front of every stunned guest. And for the first time in years, everything felt right.